More bad news from the Office of National Statistics, and inflation, consumer price inflation, back into the double digits, the highest rate for 40 years.
Economists are expecting to see another increase, driven in large part by higher energy costs and continuing supply chain disruption.
So my name is Jane Beeman.
My name's Tom Pure.
And I was born on this dairy farm.
Farmed here all my life.
What's your favourite thing about being a dairy farmer?
I think my favourite thing has to be when the cows are turned out in the spring.
Well, I don't know, it's quite hard work at times. So.
They've all been grumbling around and in the sheds, and then suddenly in the spring they go out to grass and they just love it.
I don't know, just enjoy it. I think it's something that I grew up with it. I was born and bred into it.
And could you explain to someone what's the reason why milk prices rose so much last year?
And because of the political situation.
Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has denied the conflict is causing a global food crisis, despite soaring prices driven by the collapse of Ukrainian exports.
All the inputs, or the majority of inputs that are used to produce milk, other than the cows, so fertiliser, fuel and feed, all those inputs went up significantly.
Well, you know, it's supply and demand, but there's definitely a lot less dairy farmers.
They were saying, actually, unless we're going to lose a lot of our dairy farmers, the milk price needs to go up. Each individual dairy farmer has to choose where they want to sell their milk to, and then they just determine, according to their commodity market, how much they are willing to pay for it, and then you get notification.
It was before the feed rose. Milk production was about 32 pence a litre. I think it got up. I think it got up to about 43 pence a litre. It's now 40 pence a litre to produce a litre of milk. That's the national average. And I say we had 46 last year pence, but in February it's dropped now down 10 pence a litre to 38. So we took a drop by 10 pence a litre.
And I mean, some prices have been incredibly low. They've been down to 16p a litre in the past, so which is absolutely crippling for those people.
So, how many cows do you have on this farm?
About 160.
And how many litres, roughly, of milk would each cow produce for you?
It's about 30 litres a day, which equates to about 5,000 litres a year per lactation.
So if one year you get told that the price of your milk has dropped by even like 5 pence a litre, that can end up having quite a big effect on the amount of money you can
massive, massive. Yeah, some years, well, it's farming's like that. You know, some years you have a good year, some years you'll lose a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yes, that's one thing we can't control is the milk price.
The war in Ukraine has affected all corners of the UK economy, including agriculture. But that's been no secret. And what Jane and Tom told me about not being able to control the price that they sell for is another issue in and of itself. Every year they face financial volatility, and last year proved an exceptional example. But how has that affected us as customers?
Well, what better way to find out than with the stuff itself? Now, in 2017, the price of milk per pint you bought was roughly about that, 43.2 pence per pint. And by 2019, it increased just a splash, 2% to 44.1. By 2021, it had actually dropped again 2.7% to 42.9, but then comes 2022. And that saw the price of milk rise to 67 pence a pint, roughly a 56% increase. But just how possible is it to keep affording milk at these prices?
I think retailers are in a very difficult situation. They're stuck between their suppliers, the farmers, who are facing rising prices, and they're trying to obviously negotiate fair prices with them as well as, realizing that high inflation means that those contracts need to be updated on a more regular basis. I mean, if supermarkets simply raised all their prices to suit farmers, then the customer wouldn't buy it. So there is a real challenge, and retailers find themselves squeezed in the middle, trying to make sure that the affordables remain affordable.
With production costs and the price of milk increasing, and farmers never quite knowing what they're going to receive for their product each year, every side has voiced their concerns about the situation, and the government have now weighed in.
The Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs told me that backing British farmers is at the heart of our government's manifesto. They want all farmers to receive a fair price for their products and are committed to tackling any contractual unfairness that might exist in the agri-food supply chain. They're working with the industry as to how they can make the dairy supply chain fairer through statutory codes of conduct and enforcement. But is this enough to keep British farmers in business or keep them wanting to farm?
Do you think you'll always be a dairy farmer, and do you think it will always be in your family?
I wouldn't like. It's a very big commitment.
Because it is a very hard industry to be in. The work's hard, it's constant.
It's always farmers' fault for whatever reason, so you can't do any good. And I think that takes its toll eventually.
If I hadn't got children and if they weren't interested in dairy, I would seriously be looking at changing that. But we enjoy it. That's why we do it.
Whether it's the weather, health, or conflicts thousands of miles away, farming is constantly affected by external factors, and it reflects on the prices that we pay. But meeting Jane and Tom, I learned that while constantly changing contracts make life difficult or uneasy, this is what they've spent their whole lives doing, and even in the face of adversity, that isn't going to change anytime soon.